Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming to tonight's meeting of the Burlington City Council on today, November 7th, 2017. I'd like to take a moment to ask everyone to silence all electronic devices. It's my honor to deliver tonight's invocation. May we all bow our heads. We are thankful for this day that has been given to us, for its opportunities and its challenges. We are thankful for the diversity of our community, for the wealth of people, cultures, religions, and languages, each adding to the beauty and richness of our city. We ask for strength, insight, wisdom, and guidance as we forge ahead, keeping in mind always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and on those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Amen. At this time, we recognize City Clerk Renee Wood.
Members of Council, it's my responsibility to remind you of your duties to avoid conflicts of interest in matters that are before us. At this time, I ask if there are any potential conflicts with the
None.
Before Council are minutes from the October 2nd, 2017 work session and the October 17th, 2017 City Council meeting. Do I hear a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Minutes have been approved. Before Council is the agenda. Do I hear a motion regarding the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Agenda has been adopted. Following our consent agenda items, these items are typically non-controversial. If anyone has any questions, please let us know. Item A, to adopt a resolution authorizing the City of Burlington to enter into an agreement with the North Carolina Department of Transportation for fiscal year 17-18, Section 5303, Planning Grant Funds. Item B, to approve a notice of intent to adopt a resolution to amend the ground lease agreement with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC for city-owned real property located at 2748A South Church Street, known as Number 4 Fire Station Tower Site. Item C, to approve a notice of intent to adopt a resolution to amend the ground lease agreement for New Singular Wireless PCS LLC for city-owned real property at 3715A Rural Retreat Road, known as Joe C. Davidson Park Tower Site. Item D, to approve a notice of intent to adopt a resolution to amend the ground lease agreement with New Singular Wireless PCS LLC for city-owned real property located at 225 Stone Quarry Road, known as Stone Quarry Road Tower Site. Item E, to adopt a resolution authorizing the purchase of real property located at 315 West Willowbrook Drive, Burlington, North Carolina, and from General Holdings, Inc. for the purchase price of $125,000 plus closing costs for the public purposes of expanding Willowbrook Park and to approve Budget Amendment 2018-17 Willowbrook Park, the details of which are spelled out in your agenda. Do I hear a motion regarding the consent agenda?
Move we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Consent agenda is approved. We have a number of public hearings this evening. Item 1, a public hearing has been set to scheduled to consider adopting a resolution to permanently close a portion of Inglewood Drive to its end. And this time, council recognizes City Engineer Todd Lambert. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. Tonight we have two road closures before you tonight for public hearings. They're identical in nature, but we do have two separate items since they're two separate roads. These closures are at the request of the Burlington School in conjunction with their conditional zoning that was previously approved by council. This only closes the portion of right-of-way that is contained in the Burlington School's property and beyond the gates that are there now. This is not an issue for the City Public Works or other department, as it doesn't change the look, feel, use, or character of the streets that are there. We've posted the intent to close. We've advertised in the paper and sent notices to the adjoining property owners as required by general statutes. Chad Huffines here is on behalf of the applicant and would be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Any questions from council?
I don't have any question about Inglewood and the next one, which I'll give time, but I do wonder about the fact that we have never actually made a plan for the continuation of Rockwood so that something connects back in that area to the Webb Avenue area. Do we have any plans to look at that again?
Are you referring to the Rockwood connection? So that was part of the spot process. So it is in the state process through the NPO, and so it's currently getting scored with other projects right now, and in the past it just hasn't scored well enough to get funded at the state level. So and we have a number of projects like that.
It's been on our list for quite some time. We discussed it at the TAC meetings, but it just doesn't score well enough to merit any state assistance in getting it to the level that it needs to be, but we constantly are lobbying for it.
Okay.
And you know, I have to say something about Robert.
Yeah.
You knew that.
That's right.
What is it going to take to make it move up a little higher? I mean, I think they have the traffic numbers that run on Webb Avenue and everything down Davis Street, that it should be able to rank it higher than it's been ranking. And do we need to call on the state legislatures again? I think we've done that before.
Well, it's pretty prescriptive what the state does with their scoring process. And so what we try to get a little creative this time and break the project up to the northern segment and then the southern part, which was the improvements between Alamance and O'Neill. We don't know if that's going to benefit it or not. We were trying to give that a chance to see if that would increase its probability of getting funded, but we don't really know just yet.
Does the wetland play any part to the way it's being scored?
I guess it would in the fact that it builds into the cost of the project. So there's a benefit-cost ratio
From a financial
element.
standpoint.
From a financial standpoint. But not from a, feasibility standpoint.
Yeah.
It is doable.
Right.
Any other questions from council? This is a public hearing. If anyone on this side of the room would like to speak. If anyone on this side of the room would like to speak. Do I hear a motion to close public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor of closing public hearing, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Public hearing is closed. Any questions, further questions regarding this item, or do I hear a motion?
I move to adopt a resolution to approve the closing of the street.
Second.
Inglewood Drive, yeah. At the scene.
All those in favor of the motion to close Inglewood Drive, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is passed. This is to item 2. A portion of public hearing has been scheduled to consider adopting a resolution to permanently close a portion of Greenwood Terrace to its end. This time we again recognize City Engineer Todd Lambert.
And this is the same exact situation as the other side. It's just a portion on the school's property past their gates, so it cleans up their use and cleans up our right-of-way.
Any questions from council? This is a public hearing. If anyone on this side of the room would like to speak. If anyone on this side of the room would like to speak. Do I hear a motion to close public hearing?
Motion, we close the public hearing.
Second.
All those in favor of closing public hearing, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any further questions from council, or do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion that we adopt a resolution to approve the street closing as requested.
Second.
All those in favor of approving the motion to close Greenwood Terrace, please say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion is passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
New business tonight, item 3, City Council will consider approving an interlocal government agreement with Alamance County to expand sewer service to Burlington-Alamance Regional Airport and approve budget amendment 2018-18 sewer service expansion at Burlington-Alamance Regional Airport project ordinance, details of which are spelled out in your agenda. This time, council recognizes Economic Development Director Peter Bishop.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and good evening, members of council. A happy election day to you all. And Councilman Butler, I see we're on the same No Shave November train here, so looking pretty snazzy, I must
Law
say.
enforcement officers.
Very good. As the mayor mentioned, I'm here to talk about the proposed sewer project that we first discussed with City Council back at an August work session. I have with me as well Dan Daniely, the Executive Director of the Burlington-Alamance Airport Authority. Mr. Daniely made a great presentation last evening to the Alamance County Board of Commissioners at council's direction. If we recall back in that August work session, council directed staff, including the Airport Authority, to request funding assistance from Alamance County so that there are 3 partners in this project: the Airport Authority, the City of Burlington, and Alamance County. And last night they approved that interlocal agreement that you have before you tonight. So mission accomplished as far as getting an additional partner for the project, and we're very excited to be working with Alamance County on this project. I'll review shortly some of the information about the project itself and the area that it's taking place. The development area is on the south side of the airport along Anthony Road, where there currently is not sewer service provided. The sewer service that the city has in this area stops at Cessna Drive in this little industrial area to the south, and we will be extending it, and I'll show in a schematic and drawing a little bit later exactly how we will be doing that. But the intent of this is to encourage additional growth of hangar buildings and to get more based valued aircraft that are taxable assets for the city and for the county. That's one of the reasons why we wanted to work directly with them. Currently, the airport's being served by 3 different septic tanks and fields, and quite frankly, there's no other area that perks on their property to continue doing septic service, and frankly, it's just a more efficient and costly way to do sewer these days, and we have sewer service in the vicinity. So the airport requested our extension, and then our engineering team put together some information to try and make that happen. Some of the numbers related, and I think this is really impressive and a testament to Dan and his board's work, just the increase in the operations that have occurred over at Alamance Burlington Airport. 75,000 is a lot for a smaller sub-regional airport without commercial service. And an operation is a takeoff or a landing. So if you take off and land, that's 2 operations, not 1, just to clarify there. The state, NC State's Department of, or Institute of Transportation Research put together some economic impact analysis a couple of years ago, and as Dan pointed out last night at the, or yesterday morning at the commissioners meeting, going from 5,078,000 jobs of impact in 1996 all the way up to $114 million of impact and over 700 jobs supported is really impressive growth. So this is an economic engine for the city and for the county. It's certainly something we want to support and continue supporting. I think it's important to talk about some of that expansion. This project has the possibility to benefit not just the airport, but also 5 private properties along Anthony Road that will be adjacent to the line construction. It's going to support some additions to hangars that are out there. Currently, LabCorp is working with the Airport Authority to expand their hangar presence. They've purchased additional aircraft that they need to base here. And of course, they're the highest corporate user that we have. Walmart, Sheetz, and some other of our corporate customers have also been heavy users of the airport. And there's a potential for more private folks to develop additional hangar facilities out there. So this project is going to support all those because in today's world, a hangar no longer is a set of tools and a plane and a couch for the pilot to hang out on. There's a conference room, there's rec facilities, there's an office in there, possibly multiple offices and employees based in these facilities. So these are essentially business properties, and there are real businesses occupying these and multiple folks using them, and the current septic system was not allowing any expansion to occur. So here's an updated budget estimate. So we see the county's $100,000 slotted in. That drops the city commitment to $239,200. The total project's just over $5 million for this. And here's the schematic as well that shows some of the portion that the local governments will be funding, and then a portion that the airport itself will be funding. This will be a gravity line, and it will require us to obtain an easement from a private property owner within the Cessna Drive Industrial Park.
Peter, just for clarification, the total amount of the project is how much?
$506,200. And then finally, we always find it's good to draw these back to some of our plans and priorities of council. So in looking at the Destination Burlington plan, it identifies this area as an area of industrial and economic development growth. It also identifies this area of the airport and Anthony Road for future infrastructure investment. We talked at the priority session, the goal-setting session of council earlier this year about working with the airport as projects arose, and this is a project that has arisen in a demand and a need, so trying to directly tie lines to council's previous plans and direction. And then also, this project would support, again, LabCorp, some of the momentum that we have with the Honda Aero facility and the future MRO facility that'll be out there. So this really just continues our growth opportunities out at the airport. So the interlocal agreement you see before you, as I mentioned, was passed by the Alamance Board of Commissioners yesterday. And then in addition to that, we'll be approving a project ordinance and budget amendment that will allow us to receive the donated dollars from the Airport Authority and the county, and then also sets up our budget to do this project. I'll take any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Any questions from council? Do I hear a motion from council?
I make a motion that we approve the interlocal agreement and the budget amendment 2018-8 for sewer service expansion at Burlington Elementary Regional Airport project ordinance.
Second.
All those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion is passed. Thank you, Peter. Thank you, Dan, and a big thank you to our county commissioners for
Yeah.
stepping up on this one.
Absolutely. That was a really fine piece of work to get the county involved in
Thank you all.
Yeah.
partnership.
It's a tremendous asset.
Good job.
Item 4 on our agenda, City Council will consider adopting a resolution approving a grant agreement with Impact Alamance for the construction of the Front Street Greenway and Bikeway project and approve Budget Amendment 2018-19 Front Street Greenway and Bikeway project ordinance. Details of this are spelled out in your agenda. This time, council recognizes City Manager Hardin Watkins.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to make a few remarks just to provide some context and a summary, and then I'm going to call on Tracy Grazer from Impact Alamance to make a few remarks, and then we'll see if council has questions and then suggest some action. So what you see on your screens is a graphic that represents the project. Let me tell a little bit about the project, and then I can walk through the graphics if needed. Let me give a little bit of history. So we're here this evening talking about the Front Street Greenway and Bikeway project, which is going to be Project 1 coming out of our Greenways and Bikeways plan. Greenway and Bikeway support is referenced in the Destination Burlington Plan, provides some history. It's also included in the city's pedestrian plan. It's also included in the MPO's bicycle map that's been around for quite some time. As Peter referenced, our goal-setting workshop from March of this year, one of the other projects that came out of that goal-setting workshop was Greenway projects were established as one of the council's top 5A initiatives or top priority initiatives for the year. And so we've been marching forward on that, and part of that included, as you all have approved previously, Greenways and Bikeways plan. That plan was adopted. You all adopted that on September 19th. It's an outstanding plan. It provides a comprehensive strategy and approach that helps improve quality of life across the entire city, and I applaud our consultants for doing such a good job connecting everything. And so here is the first piece to implementing that. So something else that was already in progress as we were working on that plan, and council remembers this from our goal-setting workshop, is we also, in this year's fiscal year 17-18 budget, also put money aside for what we called our quick hitters, Greenways and Paths program. That is underway today. It's underway as we speak. That's happening in City Park. It's happening in Fairchild Park and Springwood Park. That's going to add some significant length and some circular routes around each of these well-used city facilities. And the advantage of doing this was to get a quick win and get things on the ground quickly. We don't have to acquire, obviously we're building in our park, we don't have to acquire additional land. We don't have to build restrooms. We don't have to build parking lots, and that certainly saves on your expenses. To give you a quick progress report on that, we're about 33% with those quick hitters projects. Completion of the entire project is anticipated in June of 2018, so obviously at the end of this fiscal year. And there are some sections that are complete that are now usable for our citizens. We're about 75% complete in Fairchild Park, about 30% complete in City Park, and then Springwood will be the project that we start once the weather warms back up, assuming the asphalt plants don't open over the winter. So that's kind of where we stand, and that's a little history, and making great progress. And so the good news to report this evening is thanks to the generosity and visionary thinking of Impact Alamance. They graciously have reached out to assist with funding for the city's first freestanding greenway, so a greenway that stands by itself outside of a park. It's kickstarting our program of greenways and bikeways as we laid out in our September plan, and we're thrilled that they're interested in doing that and that we've found a way to partner with them to do so. They selected the Front Street Greenway and Bikeway as the first one to jump in on. They've agreed to contribute $300,000 towards the anticipated $400,000 cost of that project. And we are thrilled, again, about that partnership. And I'm going to yield to Tracy in just a moment and let her share some comments and thoughts about the project. But we do want to thank them for their support and thank them for believing in our mission. And again, like I said, we're going to be able to do this. And if you look back to the timetables we provided after the goal-setting workshop, this is going to put us way ahead of the original timetable we thought in which we would have our first greenway underway. As I mentioned, the total project cost is $400,000, so there's an additional $100,000 that's needed. We have 3 partners in addition to Impact Alamance to help with that $100,000 portion. So the city will take a portion of that. And we've got, we anticipate partnership commitments from Elon University, Talent Elon, and LabCorp. And if you look at the graphic here, you see why we're including those folks. Borrow the mouse. So if you'll see, this begins at the Elon intramural fields here where the arrow is, where there's currently a sidewalk that goes on into the town of Elon. And so the project would begin there at the intramural fields, and Elon University at some point would figure out if they want to, move these trail onto their intramural fields for their use in the future. Sorry about that. 10% of the project total is in the Elon town limits. This is the city limit line between Burlington and Elon, and so about 10%. And so Elon has initially given some verbal indication that seems fair to them, that they would pick up about 10% of the remaining $100,000. Still to be worked out, all the details on that. So the Greenway project would come down this side of Front Street, crosses here at Saddle Club, and then we work all the way down this with a lot of LabCorp right away along this frontage. And then when we get to Briarcliff, we'll cross the street, go down Briarcliff just for a moment, and then it'll turn and go down Canterbury, and then a future project will pick up on Canterbury. Those of you who are familiar with that street, it's wide, very little traffic on there, and it's currently used. Canterbury and Woodland, which Canterbury leads you into Woodland, are already used by cyclists and walkers and runners on a regular basis. It's wide, and we'll end up with a striping project on Canterbury and Woodland as a future phase that ultimately carries folks on into Davis Street and then carries them into downtown. That's sort of the long-term vision. This section, as I said, terminates at Canterbury and Briarcliff. So city, like I said, we've worked with our 3 additional partners. We're pleased and encouraged by their interest and willingness to partner on this effort. The city Burlington will take responsibility for implementing the project, managing the project, conducting the design work, getting the easements and right-of-way, taking care of the bidding and the construction management, and then, like I said, our partners will be chipping in along the way. Let me show you a couple more graphics that'll help. If you do look at this, this is what if you remember, our consultants from Alta talked about side paths, and so if you look at where the arrow is here, this is what it's going to look like. Sort of graphically, it'll be a path along the side of the road. You see these 2 graphics giving you some sense. So you'll be clearly off the road. The intent is someone could go out with their children on bicycles and feel comfortable. As we know, you have to be a very experienced cyclist to feel comfortable riding mixed in with traffic. There's a couple other graphics that help show that as well. This is, again, prepared by our friends at Alta that did our plan for us, and you get a sense of what currently what it looks like there in front of the LabCorp property, and this is what the side path may look like in the future with some plantings to kind of break up the area. Again, there's another graphic of the sort of side path off the road, and then finally that's our overall graphic. So at this point, I'm going to yield the floor to Ms. Tracy Grazer from Impact Alamance. Let her share a few words, and then we'll see if council has questions.
Welcome, Tracy.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. We're extremely excited about this partnership and about this project and the comprehensiveness of it in the community, and we know that this is just the first phase. So as many of you know through our previous partnerships, that Impact Alamance focuses heavily and we believe strongly in building healthy communities, and we really feel like this investment in particular is one of the most impactful things that you could do to improve the overall health of your community, and something that we can partner on to help achieve our vision of making Alamance County the best place to live and thrive. So we've already mentioned that we're willing to invest the $300,000 in the first phase of this project, and we're very excited about the possibility of partnering with you on it, should you approve that this evening. So when we talk about building healthy environments, which is really what this is about in our built environment work, it's making the healthy choice the easy choice. And I heard recently, it's not just the easy choice, it's the undeniable choice. And when you talk about greenways, you're talking about things that create active transportation, bike lanes, bike paths, sidewalks, all of the things that are included in a greenways. And the way that that contributes to a healthy community, and all of the research shows that you're not forcing anyone to make healthy choices. It's readily accessible to them. So if it's a way for people to have that access, then they're going out and they're leading healthier lives, they're making healthier choices, and therefore you have a healthier community. So we feel that this is just a crucial part of not only improving the health of our community, but also improving the quality of life for the citizens that you all represent. And I just want to take a moment to thank you all and to thank you for investing in this type of plan and having the foresight to invest in the health and the quality of life of your community. And so thank you for that, and we look forward to partnering with you.
Thank you. Any questions from council regarding this proposal?
It's just wonderful that Impact Alamance, the effect that you've had on this community with your own vision and your willingness to step up front and take some lead on it is very much appreciated by us. And I think this is exciting that we have approved something and we just get started on it right away. So we're very grateful to you.
Welcome.
We're going to have to lower the speed limit in the Front Street.
I believe it's 35 now.
Yeah.
So I don't know of any plans. We don't know of any plans that DOT has to reduce the speed limit.
I think it would be wise if we put like a traffic thing up there just to monitor for a while to see because we all know what the speed limit is, but
The actual
speed, yeah, is something that we need to look at.
Yeah, we certainly can collect some data on that.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. And the other thing too is we're going to put it on the north side of the front, of the south side.
We're going to be on both. You want to take that?
Sure. Primarily, if you look at the map, it's on the north side from Briarcliff down to Saddle Club, and then it crosses over. And then it's on the south side going into Elon.
Okay.
And primarily, the big reason there, I mean, you'd love to have it on the south side, but there's a lot of properties that will be impacted, and we have willing partners on the north side to help us. So.
Okay. But thank you, Tracy. But I still, that speed limit sort of worries me a little bit there because, just like I said, we know what the speed limit is there, but what they actually drive is, and I want people on bikes to be safe.
Yes, and fortunately for this project, this multi-use path, greenway path, is separate from the roadway, so that does give some level of security and comfort for people. They feel a lot safer using it as well. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
I had a question regarding the yellow segmented portion at Briarcliff. Is that intended to be on-street shared lane, or will that be dedicated? I know that's a fairly busy intersection, especially during commuting times from Course campus.
You're talking about down this end?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not an off-street. If you look at the bottom, it's more along the neighborhood bike path scenario where you would have a sidewalk and possibly some striping for the bicycle traffic.
Okay, but we would have a sidewalk there where there's not currently a sidewalk.
That is part of the plan to install that. So.
Okay. That'll help that intersection quite a bit.
Yeah.
Other questions from council? Do I hear a motion?
I move to approve it.
Second.
Any questions regarding the ordinance or motion to approve? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Motion is passed. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy.
Thank you.
Before council are a number of boards and commissions reports. First off, Planning and Zoning Commission has 2 rezoning requests and consistency statements. This time we recognize Director of Planning and Community Development, Amy Nelson.
Thank you, and good evening, Mayor and Council. For our meeting that we held in October, we went over the consistency statements just as I did with all of you whenever it was Planning and Zoning, so that they would understand, because they also have to deal with these. And then we went into 2 rezonings, and I will pull these up for you quickly. The first one is called The Stables at Harris Farm, and it is a request for townhomes. 42 townhome units for this site. The driveway access would be here, actually street access, and the homes are located within this parcel. And here is a layout of those, and I believe you have a copy of those already. And we heard the developer speak, and then we had multiple people from the surrounding neighborhoods speak, and the primary concern that people had was with traffic. There are concerns about the traffic on 62 already being too numerous and too fast. So, like I said, that was the number one concern. There's already multifamily uses that are in the vicinity around this parcel. However, they were concerned about adding additional traffic. And when we looked at that through our technical review process, it was not warranted to add any additional lanes for this particular development.
Lanes on Alamance Road.
Right, on 62. They do need to provide a site easement right along here to help people to be able to see better coming and going. The second issue that we had was Calamar Enterprises, and it's on Old St. Mark's Church Road. And they are requesting to build senior apartments. And it was determined that that would be a good use of the property. Both, and I neglected to tell you, the other one did pass 4-3. This one passed unanimously, and it's kind of hard to see. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit. So you can have a look. That gives you a general idea of what it is going to look like. It's an H-frame type layout with lots of parking. They are asking for a reduction in the parking, considering that it is an elder community that is proposed here. They're going to have 138 units, 47 one-bedroom units, and 91 two-bedroom units. It's a good location. There are multifamily uses around it already. It is near shopping and restaurants. It is also close to the hospital. And those are all requirements that they have, that the developer has for these types of units, which they have done in the past.
Any questions from council regarding these items?
Do we actually know whether people 62 and over have less cars than people under 62? I hear this come up a lot, and I'm just curious if we have.
Well, I don't know that there's particular data. I'm sure they have some that they use because they have other facilities like this. As you can see, several of them are one-bedroom units, so they are supposing that there are fewer vehicles. They swear by this with their research, but we can ask them about that at the public hearing. I will make a note of that.
Any other questions? Does that conclude Planning and Zoning Commission?
Yes, sir.
All right, so Traffic Commission, we have 5 recommendations. And at this time, council recognizes City Traffic Engineer Jason Geary.
Right. Thank you, Mayor and Council. These are the recommendations from last month's Traffic Commission meeting. I'll walk you through them pretty fast because they're somewhat simple, but if you have any questions, please feel free to stop me and ask. The first one was to extend a no parking area on Kitchen Street. It was requested by the property owner at the corner here, which is State Farm Insurance, so it was having trouble with her clients pulling in and out of the driveway. People parking there, it helps for sight distance. It doesn't affect anybody but her, so the commission didn't see that as a problem, so they voted to approve that. The second one is a Parks and Rec request. This is over near City Park and off of Overbrook. It was for a mid-block crossing. It's actually for a speed table here, and part of that was contingent, and that is a continuation of part of the rail trail system that Hardin was speaking of earlier. And part of this was it is a mid-block crossing because in conjunction with this, engineering is working on a design to make this intersection more of a T intersection. Basically gets rid of this slip right, which makes it safer for pedestrians to cross in this area. So with those things in mind, the commission also voted to approve this one as well. So, and our next item was on the other side of town near the baseball stadium in Fairchild Park. It was a request. This also came through Parks and Rec as well. It's in conjunction with the next item I'll show you. It's to reduce the speed limit from 35 to 25 from on Graham Street from Beaumont Avenue to Hanover Road. And the necessity for that is you have these back-to-back curves, which in itself is a little dangerous. And then also you get more pedestrian traffic between the stadium and Fairchild Park and that kind of thing. So the commission also voted to recommend making this adjustment as well. And the second half of that, of course, is a mid-block crossing on Graham Street. And part of the consideration for that was to provide a trail system from Fairchild Park, a sidewalk system that would cross at this approximate location and then connect to the baseball stadium. In conjunction with lowering that speed limit, as you can see here, it gives us a little better sight lines. Makes the sight lines shorter, so obviously people coming around the curves can see somebody crossing. So that's why those kind of work together, the approval of the crossing as well as the reduction of the speed limit. And then finally, the last one was just basic stop sign installation at a T intersection. This was requested by the police department because they've had a wreck here recently and they've had some near misses. It's not a sign intersection, it's a T intersection, so it's basically just to establish right of way. And that was also approved by the commission as well. So that was all the recommendations the commission had. If any of you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Any questions from council? All right, thank you. There were no public.
Yeah, could you go back to the kitchen, to the crosswalk on
This one
Kitchen
here?
Street? Tell me what you said here about the turn
Yeah, let me
on the corner.
I'll show you this. This is engineering's drawing that they're actually working on now. Currently, as you can see, this right turn lane that comes through here, and people are coming through there, and you come through pretty fast. Once we correct this curve, make it more of a 90-degree perpendicular intersection, somebody's going to have to actually slow down and make the turn, and they'll be able to have some good sight distance on people crossing. Otherwise, we were concerned coming around the curve fast, you wouldn't see somebody crossing. It makes for a dangerous situation. So,
Thank you.
any other questions?
Will there still be parking along those edges there for festivals?
You talking on Overbrook itself?
On Overbrook, but also on Kitchen.
There will be. We're actually not. We were not eliminating any parking. We're actually adding more curb. Because as you can see, this is we're getting rid of this right turn lane as well, make it more of a 90-degree. So this will all be curb as well. So
awesome.
And then also on Overbrook, we're only losing a couple of spots. We modified this slightly to make this more symmetric with across the streets. I think it was 2 or 3 spots we're losing, and that's it's also for safety for the crossing. So
yeah, excellent. Any other
Makes
questions?
sense.
Thank you.
Thank you. Public Transit Advisory Commission, the PTAC did not have any additional announcements. There were no public comments requested for this evening. Are there any city council comments?
I've got 2. Go ahead.
Okay, I just want to say that people at this table who put themselves in front of the public today should really be honored because for all of us, because it's an amazingly hard thing to do, to run for office. And people were standing out in the rain, and you had volunteers working for you. And I just think that that you're worthy of praise just for doing what you did. He's going to get his handkerchief out to cry. I was amazed watching people standing there in a lot, it was a Seattle kind of rain, just lots
It was a
of
cold, wet
mist
one, yeah.
all day long. And so my hats are off to you. Thank you.
And I'd like to say to Chief Burdick for the accommodations that the police department got, the men and women, to the officers that were promoted. Great job. And also I'd like to say my congratulations to Captain Brent Carey. If you lived in Burlington for any length of time, you know that years ago we only had a person of color as a lieutenant. His name was Odell Isley, years ago. And to have a person of color come up to be the first captain in our police department shows that our city is moving forward. And I'm most appreciative of you guys picking these officers out to promote. And, you know, yeah, they did the work. They definitely did the work. But I want to thank you guys for seeing that these guys do the work and are able to be promoted and make our police department better than it ever has been. So thank you to the police department.
A couple announcements. Councilmember Butler reminded me we had our fire department color guard at the Panthers game this weekend, which was a tremendous honor, and they did a phenomenal job out there. Saw a lot of good social media. A lot of folks appreciated that, so some good publicity for Burlington, and we've got folks that we're very proud of out there. This is an election day. We appreciate everyone who worked hard continuing to preserve the democracy in our community. As some of you might have seen in the paper, our LED streetlight conversion starts tomorrow, which is exciting. It's been a lot of hard work from our engineering folks, and we're excited to see those bright new LED lights popping up all across our community, providing better light and better safety for neighborhoods all across Burlington. Please be mindful of the construction crews and give Duke Energy their right of way as they're making those improvements. The first No Frills 5K kicks off for the season, our Mustache Dash over at Lake McIntosh at the Guilford McIntosh Marina at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning. Great way to get active and explore our trail system out there. And then our animal shelter is participating in a Home for the Holidays special pet adoption event, $12.25, just to adopt a cat or a dog and help them have a home for the holidays. So great opportunity there. And then our 71st annual Christmas parade is happening on November 18th, 10 a.m. in downtown Burlington. So we look forward to that as well. Now, any other announcements from council? Do I hear a motion to adjourn? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Council is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.